Xbox wireless controller. That's what I'm going to be reviewing in this video. This is the Xbox Series X and S optimized wireless Xbox controller Impulse Red. This is my third Xbox wireless controller since purchasing my Xbox Series S in 2020. That's 4 years at the time of me making this video. My third controller. Let's review this brand new Xbox Series S wireless controller. I'll also be unboxing it, which you will see throughout the video. This Xbox wireless controller can be used on your PC. So if you decide to game on your PC, remember that those games that are optimized for controller as well, you can use this Xbox wireless controller, which is one positive note that I'd like to state at the beginning of this video. There are some negatives, we're going to dive into those as well. A negative is that this controller is battery powered. You cannot use a third party battery pack. It won't fit and it also will not work. Don't waste your money. Modding your controller is not something that I advise when you're purchasing this Xbox controller. I also don't advise you to mod your controller anyway, as it's not something that's really in the realm of fair play when you're playing competitively online. So if you want to be a professional gamer of any kind or in the gaming industry, it might go against you. This is the reason why I shy away from modifications of your controller. So this is an authentic, provided by Microsoft Xbox controller that you can purchase in most major retail stores. I bought mine from Argos. So here in the UK, we have a store called Argos. That's where I purchased this specific Xbox wireless controller. Now I choose the Pulse Red. I don't know why. It's just one of those things, like, you know, when you pick a color, there are some other colors of Xbox controllers you can pick up. There's the white that you get with the Xbox when you purchase the Xbox. If you purchase an Xbox Series S, you get the white Xbox controller. For the X, because it's a black console, I presume you're going to get a black controller. I don't think they'd give you a mix match with a black Xbox with a white controller. I don't think they'll do that. But my Xbox console, my Xbox Series S, is white. Therefore, I got a white controller with it. So this one is another one that I've purchased. As I said at the beginning of the video, I've had 3 Xbox controllers since gaming on Xbox Series S, beginning in 2020. It's now currently 2024 and we're in October, about to go back into November. Quick note, the Xbox Series S was released on my birthday, November the 10th, 2020. My birthday is on November the 10th. So it was a nice birthday present that I could look forward to, and I managed to actually purchase it. There are a variety of ways that you can purchase your Xbox Series S if that is the option for a console that you want to start with or play with. If you've played on previous Xbox generation consoles, for example, the Xbox original, Xbox 360, Xbox One, you will notice a difference in the controller when you pick up an Xbox Series S controller. Now, of course, the original Xbox controller was quite big compared to the Xbox controllers we have today. The Xbox 360 was predominantly wired, and then the Xbox One is where we got into more wireless controllers. Those Xbox One controllers do have a battery pack that you can apply to them. That is a big difference. With the Xbox Series S, it is not a thing. Right, so you've got a battery pack at the back right here. And as you can see, I've got some Duracell batteries in them. This is battery powered. You need AA batteries for your Xbox Series S controller. This is a negative point and was mentioned early on when people were picking up the Xbox Series X and S. They were like, oh, it's battery powered. That means you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. It's not a lot, a couple of pounds, a couple of quid. But of course, in the long run, if you're an avid gamer and you're gaming quite a lot, maybe for your career, you're going to be going through quite a lot of batteries if you don't get rechargeable batteries. My solution for this is the Amazon Basics battery charger. This is brilliant for a variety of reasons. I've also made a YouTube short about it, and this is what I use to recharge my Xbox Series S batteries with rechargeable batteries. So make sure they're rechargeable. Otherwise, you might find that you're having a few issues with your batteries blowing up. So don't do that. It can be quite dangerous to use regular AA batteries in a rechargeable dock like this. This plugs straight into the wall. As you can see, I have the 3 pins because I'm here in the UK, but you can get a US version if you're using the 2-pin dock in the wall. So keep that in mind. And there's a screen so it can show you the battery life of each battery that's being charged. Pretty good. So that's what I use to recharge my Xbox Series S batteries when I need new batteries. So, and also when you're playing on the Xbox console, you do see the battery life when you press the Xbox home screen, which also can be extremely helpful. So you can keep an eye on your battery life of the batteries that are in your controller. And with this dock, you can see the ones that are charging. So normally when you purchase rechargeable batteries, if you're purchasing AA, you get 4 batteries. So you'll have 2 charging while you're using the other 2 inside the controller. The textures do dull over time. So there are a few textures on the controller, and if you're using your Xbox controller frequently, the textures do dull. So there is a texture on the joystick to let you sort of remind the gamer that your thumb is in the center of the joystick, because you tend to use your thumbs on those. So you put your thumb in the center when you're moving the joysticks around. So inside of the joystick, there's a smoother texture. On the outer rim, you have like a sort of grip texture, and you also have a grip texture on the back side of the controller as well. Funny word, but yeah, like on the back side of the controller, on the bottom of it, on the reverse side, flip side of the controller, you have some grip texture right here, which is a big difference compared to the other Xbox controllers that were literally just solid sort of plastic that would usually slip. This prevents your hand, or is supposed to prevent your hand from slipping off the controller. It's very useful. The D-pad is the usual D-pad, except it's slightly lifted compared to what it was before. There have been a variety of D-pads that I've used. Of course, I've gamed on other consoles as well from other providers like Nintendo, and those D-pads are very different. For example, the Nintendo N64 D-pad was quite lifted. Those buttons were quite lifted. Retro gaming console right there, just pointing out to you. I used to game on Nintendo as well. And you have some new buttons on the Xbox Series S controller that previously were not there. For example, the share button, which can be customized. So when you're on your Xbox console, you can customize what your buttons in the center of the pad do. So of course, the share button being the main one, if you want it to take a screenshot with one tap, you can customize that to record as opposed to taking a screenshot. It's a useful feature, and of course was one of the unique selling points of Xbox Series X and S when it was being marketed for sale for the first time. They were saying, look, there's a share button there, so you can share your gaming footage. So that's something. And there's also this select button, which I don't use quite frequently. It seems to be sort of obsolete at this point. I'm not really using it. The only time I use that is if I'm gaming on PC. So sometimes when gaming on PC, this button is being used to input a control in the game. For example, I've been playing Prince of Persia The Two Thrones on PC, and I use that button for some reason. I can't remember right now. But yeah, there's a reason why I'm using that button when gaming on PC. The other buttons as well, when using the Pulse Red version of the Xbox Series X and S optimized wireless controller, these buttons don't really have the color inside of the letter. For example, the X, you can see it's a red X, A is the same, Y is the same, and B is the same. They're red on the inside. You do have the colored, the usual colors of those buttons inside the inner rim, if you will, where the buttons sit. So for example, I know that the Y button used to be yellow button, and you can see it right there in the center. The reason why this is done is because in some games, you may have, for example, a color input on the screen, letting you know that you should be pressing, for example, the Y button. The Y button is the yellow button. So for example, let's say you get a prompt on screen which is saying, and it's yellow, and that's just prompting to you that you need to press the Y button. For example, if you're playing like a Guitar Hero style game, Fortnite, for example, right now has a sort of Guitar Hero theme where you have to press the correct colors. That's an example of when you would need those colors to come into play. So with this controller specifically, the button isn't yellow. You need to either know that it's the Y button or look at that color input in the inner rim where the button sits. If you don't have a wireless headset and you are plugging your headset into your controller, you will find, I'm not going to plug out where my headset's currently plugged into, but you will find that you will be pulling this controller along with you when you're moving if you have a lightweight headset. What I mean by this is, say your headset's on and you have a wire plugged in to your controller, and your headset's light and you barely feel it on your head, and you need to move quite quickly, and you've put your controller down. You might be pulling this controller along with you accidentally, and it would be landing on the floor from the surface of where you put it on. That's a negative. The reason why that's a negative is it can cause damage to your control, which is probably the reason why I've been through 3 controls at this point. So when I've put this down and my headset's plugged into it and I move because I'm like, oh, I've got to do something real quick, and I've forgotten it's plugged in because sometimes I plug it out and plug it into my setup now so I can hear myself back when I'm talking to you, things like that. When it's plugged into the controller, it's landing on the floor. So it's a lot of the time, what happened with these controllers, because the battery pack isn't as solid as it previously was, and you can hear it can be quite hollow. It makes a very horrid noise when it lands against a hard surface. So I don't have carpet down. When this lands on the floor, it sounds like something smashed. So what usually happens when I drop this is it explodes, the batteries go flying everywhere, and it makes a huge crash sound. It sounds like glass smashing. That's also a negative with this controller because it sounds really bad, and it's because this plastic is quite light and hollow. That's definitely a negative because it sounds absolutely horrid, and it's because this plastic is quite hollow and light. So when that smashes against a hard surface floor like what I have here, if you have laminate flooring, for example, it sounds really bad. So if you've got like kids that are playing on your Xbox Series S and they drop the controller, expect it to make a really loud, weird crash. Don't go running in there thinking that people have like jumped on the like kids have jumped on the table and smashed the table. It's not. It's just a controller. Trust me, you're going to be like, what the hell is that noise? And of course, if you're dropping your controller, you're going to be causing damage to it. This could be done to the buttons, to the body, and more. Now, to the body itself, it's very rare that I'll see any scratches or anything from that. So it's very well made in that respect. Although the buttons are very comfortable to touch, they do occasionally get a bit sticky if you have sticky fingers on them. So what I mean by this is don't eat and play with your Xbox controller. You will break the buttons. So there are some times where, you know, if you get anything caught behind any of the buttons, the input of the button can be delayed and you might need to really, really press it. That's one of the ways that you can break your controller. Wouldn't advise eating and using your controller. Probably wash your hands first and dry them, because if you get anything trapped behind these buttons, there's no way to get them out, because you cannot open this controller without breaking it. You also lose your warranty if you open your controller. The reason why I know this so thoroughly is because during the era of the Red Ring of Death through the Xbox 360 era, I sent mine back, and if it was opened, I wouldn't be able to send my Xbox 360 back to be repaired. So keep that in mind with your Xbox consoles. If you want that warranty to be intact, don't open the technology that isn't intended to be opened. Battery pack, fine, open it, whatever, you need to put the batteries in, but anything else, don't do it. If unless of course you intend not to keep that warranty and that insurance, and maybe you're a tech person who just wants to reverse engineer the Xbox controller and learn more, because some people do that. I've seen some videos where people open controllers and they're like, ooh, that's how that works. Well, there's also a wire input that you can give to your controller as well. So there is like a slight USB-C, I think it is, that you can kind of plug into the top of the controller, and you can connect it to different things wired instead of wirelessly. You also have a sync button right at the top. It does look quite subtle. It's very hard to see from the naked eye. You need to look a bit closer. I don't have my glasses on, so so just pointing that out. The sync button is very subtle. I do like that approach. I wouldn't like it to stand out from the controller. I think it suits the aesthetic of the controller being black on a black surface. But that sync button is very important for you when you need to connect to another device, for example your PC, and also if you need to resync to your Xbox console. That is the sync button right there. You've seen me teach you about that in other videos right here on my channel. As well as this, you also have this slot, which I presume is for a wireless headset and wireless devices that you might need to connect to your Xbox controller. I'm not sure. So there's that as well there. Weight wise, it's a lot lighter than previous Xbox controllers, which have been known for being heavy. So this is quite a lightweight controller, which again, one of the reasons why it can be dropped quite frequently and pulled off tables and surfaces. And although we're looking for more lightweight tech anyway, it does make sense in that respect. But do keep in mind that you might be pulling it off tables and surfaces quite frequently if you're not paying attention to it being plugged into your headset that is wired. Colors wise of the Xbox wireless controller for the Xbox Series consoles, I do prefer the Pulse Red. And maybe that's because I wear red quite a lot anyway. I'm wearing blue today, but I tend to wear red quite a lot. And I also wear white and black. So with the Pulse Red, you have white and black with this controller as well. You can customize your Xbox controllers. And there's an actual Xbox Lab where you can customize the look of your controller down to the joysticks, the buttons, the bumpers, the right triggers, left trigger, everything can be customized with that. So it's well worth having a look at that if you're into customization for your gaming setup. Have a look at that. It's brilliant. Like, actually, I've used it for some thumbnails. All in all, it's a decent controller. I did get a comment from one of you guys in a YouTube short asking me which controller is more comfortable, the PS5 or the Xbox Series X and S wireless controllers. I have touched a PS4 controller. It wasn't a PS5. It was my brother's, I think. So I touched it for like one Christmas ago, and I remember how that felt. But I don't have a PlayStation for myself right now. I'm currently on Xbox, so I know how this feels thoroughly because, of course, I've been on Xbox for quite a long time now. So I know how this feels compared to other Xbox controllers. Compared to the PlayStation 4 controller, I would say that this is more comfortable because I actually feel like I'm holding a controller. Although it's easier for me to get a Fortnite win using the PlayStation controller. I don't know. I don't know why that is, but this is more comfortable for me. Just thought I'd point out Fortnite there. This is more comfortable for me when I'm gaming, as I actually understand I'm holding the controller in a specific way, and I don't feel like I'm pulling my hand down to get to the other joystick. Because as you know, with the PlayStation controller, it's a lot more lower half, whereas this controller, you have an upper half. So you sort of move your other thumb upwards. You tend to push this upwards. So when you're pushing forwards with a character, you can actually, you feel like you're pushing forwards as opposed to sort of leaning forward. Right, so like if you're one of the type of gamers that really get immersed and you tend to move when you're moving the controller, then yeah, you're not going to do that as much when you're using this controller. You might do that more with the PlayStation because it feels sort of like you're having to push those two. You're having to, do that with your controller. So, yeah. If you have bigger hands or you are very handsy, you like to move your fingers and your hands a lot, then you are going to prefer this controller. I would say that because there's more a slight bit more movement in the center and the palm of your hand. Your palm of your hand is more full because you're grabbing around that curvature as opposed to sort of hooking. You're not hooking, you're grabbing, and you can move your position of your hands on it. So if you have bigger hands, this is definitely going to help you, which I always thought Xbox have thought of anyway. So if Xbox have really thought about the comfortability of your hands when you're holding your controller. Does it feel quite sturdy in terms of does it feel like it's going to break in your hands? There are certain panels that I feel like if you're a really angry gamer and you clutch your controller, that might feel like they're going to, like, you can pull them away. For example, right here where the controller's been stitched together, you can feel that lip a little bit if you're pulling away. More so around here. That's more or less where I mean. Around here, you can kind of feel that lip. It's not stitched in a way where you cannot feel that this is where the controller has been connected. You can feel where the white meets the red on this controller. If you're gripping that part of the controller, because you're this way around. So you don't really put your hand on this section unless you're just really feeling this thing up. Like, so yeah, solid controller. This is my third one. As I said, I think the reason is because obviously I'm a hardcore gamer. I do it for my YouTube channel as well as for my own enjoyment and more. So of course it's going to be, I'm going to go through controllers quite a lot. Being my third one, I think one of the main reasons is because it gets dropped quite often, quite frequently. The main reason, again, I've mentioned throughout this video is because when it's plugged in with a wired headset, sometimes it's getting pulled off the table. I'm being extra careful now. I'm having to be more careful with it because I don't want this controller to break. Some of the surfaces do dull after a time. So some of the textures on the joystick, they do dull after a certain period of time, or you just forget that it's there, which is kind of possibly a plus, probably a positive. So yes, this is my full in-depth review of the Xbox wireless controller optimized for the Xbox Series S and X. You cannot use your previous generation Xbox controllers on the Xbox Series X and S as something as well. There's no, you have to get an Xbox Series X and S controller for your Xbox Series X or S. You have to get these controllers. So predominantly they are wired as a wireless as well. So yeah, it's my full review. Sturdy controller. I've mentioned my problems with it. Hopefully it can be improved. There are some other controllers out there. If you've enjoyed this review, then don't forget to give me that all important thumbs up and subscribe for more. I have an entire Xbox playlist. Check that out. I'd like for you to have a look at that if you're into Xbox, because there's a lot more that I have taught you to do. Also, if you see an updated version of the video that you have watched, check that out, because I add more to that video. So if there's something that hasn't been covered thoroughly, or there's an update to a piece of software or tech, and I've taught you the first steps, I elaborate in the next version of that video. So of course I'm here, I'm looking at comments, I'm always updating things. Don't forget to check out those updated videos. A brilliant reason for you to subscribe. My name's Anthony Allen. Thank you for watching. You can also find my channel by searching Anthony Allen YT, or together, all in one word, and you will find me. That is my username. Nobody else can use my username here on YouTube, so I'm the only one with it. So yeah, so thank you for watching. See you in the next one. More videos on screen right now. Check those out.